right, my name is Davis. It's a pretty quick presentation, don't crash. We'll be good. This is actually a 45-minute presentation. I'm going to wheel down into 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. If you have questions, I can answer questions at the end. Also, at the end of the 10 o'clock, we're going to meet with the sweep and the lead riders. And anybody else who wants to meet, I'm going to do some how to hold C-spine and how to deal with a patient on the ground and how to do bandaging and splinting. So if you want to see that afterwards, you can stay after the meeting today and we'll talk about it. But I'll make this as quick as I can. Just a quick about me. I've been a nurse practitioner for the last 3 years. I was a nurse since 2014, and I've been a paramedic since 2008. I worked on a truck in Jacksonville for 10 years. I worked in neurosurgery at Mayo Clinic in the OR for 5. So I've seen all the back and the brain surgeries that you're going to see. I also own a wellness company, T48, shameless plug, men's health company. Pretty passionate about men's health. Also about me, I full-time commute on a GSA. My wife just started riding here about 4 years ago, so she rides with me on her own bike, which is scary enough on its own, so I always hold my breath. But I've gotten to do some interesting rides, the TAT, Smoky Mountain 500, all that stuff. So motorcycle crashes in themselves, and if I talk too fast, I'm really sorry, but we'll do our best to knock this out. The data for motorcycle accidents, 40% happen in intersections. Anybody that's riding a long time, left-hand turns are your enemy. Everyone's trying to kill you with left-hand turn. As a general rule in my helmet, I just am always planning on how each car is trying to kill me, and I'm usually not disappointed. So that's kind of how I do that. Urban areas are the most dangerous. We are actually in something called the Trauma Triangle in Florida. It runs from Tallahassee to Jacksonville to Daytona. And in that triangle, they call that the Trauma Triangle. Some horrible accidents, high-speed 2-lane roads happen in this area. 301, US 90, State Road 17. So left-hand turns are your enemy. So scene safety, there's a couple things I want you to take away from this. If you just take away a couple things. Blind corners, stay visible traffic. I'm a big fan of the highlight gear. I think everyone in here kind of knows the value of gear. If I was talking to a Harley group, it'd be a little bit different, but it always shocks me that people don't wear helmets and don't wear, sandals, and they wear shorts, and it's just chaos. But quick fun fact, for every 10 miles an hour that you're going, you'll remove 1 millimeter of flesh if you're sliding down the pavement, right? So if you think about how much flesh there's on your ankle or on your kneecap, there's only about 1 millimeter. So if you're going 40, 50 miles an hour and you hit the ground and you slide, you can do the math on that. So it's not good. But the big thing I want you to take away from this is don't make one patient two. So if somebody's in an accident, if you're in a group, you need to protect your scene, okay? So we had an incident here last month. I hate to call you out. My really good dear friend Dave, I did get his permission, but Dave went down in a ditch on our little North Carolina trip. It was a blind corner, 40 miles an hour. I wish I had a picture of it. I don't. But what we didn't want to do is make one patient two. So when we turned around, Rebecca, Heather, and I went past the accident and blocked traffic. So no one could come whipping around that corner when we're working on Dave or working on his bike and all these other things. I can't tell you how many times people run out of their car on the freeway and they're taking pictures and they're trying to help and it's all chaotic and somebody gets hit by a car. It's horrible. So just make sure you protect your scene. Don't make one patient two. All right, next. All right, so for sweeps and leads, or if you're the dedicated leader of a ride, or you get into, somebody in your group gets in an accident, I want you to take charge of the scene. Inevitably, a church van is going to pull up on you, and 20 kids are going to run out with their phones, and they're all going to be running around the road, and someone said they were, an EMT 40 years ago, and whatever it is. But give people roles, okay? Have someone call 911. Have someone go block traffic. Get people out of the road. Control that scene. Again, if you take anything from this, don't make one patient two. Control what's going on, especially if you're a lead or your sweep. Just make sure that you're controlling everything that's going on in there. Assess the injured. These are pretty simple things. Assess consciousness, right? Ask simple questions. What is your name? Where are you from? Who's the president? What year is it? If they're not answering questions right, 911 is going to want to know when you call. Okay, they'll say, what is the conscious level of your patient? Okay, if they're not answering, then it's pretty simple. They're not answering. Heart rate, you can take pulse one of two places. You can do it in the neck. This is the best place. Or you can do it in the wrist. Your radial's on your thumb side, so you can take it on the thumb side, right here. Fun fact, if your blood pressure is below 80 systolic, you will not have a radial pulse. Okay, so if they have a low blood pressure, if they're bleeding out, whatever it is, if you can't feel one in their wrist, then they have a blood pressure below 80. Also, real quick, Good Samaritan laws apply to everyone that's not medically trained. That was another question I had in January. If you help someone and they are injured, you are protected with the Good Samaritan laws. I am not. If I help someone and I injure them in that process, I'm not protected by that, but you are. So if you willingly give help, that's one of I don't want to get sued. You won't. Okay, unless you've been medically trained. Oh yeah, CPR. If you end up getting CPR, anybody here CPR certified? Yay! Staying alive is your cadence. Staying alive, staying alive. That's how fast you go. Okay, they've done studies in hospitals. Hospital providers screw this up all the time. They go too fast, they go too slow in their CPR, and they breathe too much for the patient. So if they got a bag, there's been tons of studies show that we actually hurt a lot of patients by breathing too much for them. Also, fun fact here, it's a terrible statistic. I'm sad today. 70,000 people die every year in hospital-related accidents and injuries. 700,000 are injured every year. So making sure you get CPR trained, doing all that stuff is super, super important. If you have questions on that, come see me. Oh yeah, helmets. To remove or to not remove. If you stay later at 10 o'clock, I'll show you how to safely remove a helmet. This is highly debated on whether you should remove a helmet or not. I like keeping a helmet on under two conditions. One, they're talking and everything is good. There's no blood in their mouth. There's no teeth rattling around. There's no airway obstruction. And two, if the helmet's not causing their head to be tilted forward and block the airway. If it's blocking the airway, I will take the helmet off. Okay, but as a general rule for you, don't take it off. Okay, everyone's going to vary opinion on that, but I'm of the opinion leave them stable as long as you can. Okay, so if they get in an accident, 80% of accidents, your head will hit the ground. Dave, you had your head hit the ground. Didn't it scratch your helmet?
A little bit.
Yeah. Your head is 22 to 26 pounds, depending on your ego, and your neck is super, super small, and the bones in your neck are super, super small. The disc space are super small. They are not designed to take a 26-pound jerk. Your head will hit the ground almost every time in a motorcycle accident. So wear your helmet, and I'll show you how to do that after the class. What will 911 want to know? Oh yeah, yes.
Send the helmet. If you take the helmet off, send it in the ambulance so the ER doc can look at it.
Yeah, they'll want mechanism of entry. They'll also want impact site on the helmet. So occipital portion of your brain is where you see. So all it smells in the front, personalities in the front. Where it happens on that, they'll want to see what part of your head, if you're unconscious, was hit in the helmet. So you're right. Send the helmet in the and pretty much all the rider gear. If you end up taking the rider gear off, send it with the ambulance. They'll take it anyway. If you call 911, questions they're going to ask: where are you? If you're off-road, we use the Garmin InReach. It'll give you coordinates. So helicopter, if they're going to fly somebody in, if you're in the woods, give them the coordinates. How many patients are involved? If the rider had a passenger, if they hit a car, how many patients are in there? They're going to want to know how many people are involved, and then level of consciousness. If they're answering questions or not is really all you have to know. Okay, are they talking to you or are they not? This is a quick slide. We'll blast through this. Your med kit, again, we'll talk about med kits. Hopefully, anybody carry a med kit on their bike? Yay. All right, good. So you'll have a little emergency blanket. This is what it looks like. It's like tin foil and super light. You don't think it does anything. It does a lot. If there are patients laying on the ground, the pavement's either going to be really hot or really cold, and you're going to lose a lot of body temperature with that. Put the little blanket on them. It's a big deal, especially if EMS is more than 5 minutes away. So make sure you use that. And we'll talk about C-spine. Neck fractures can paralyze. Oh, yeah. Adrenaline hides pain. You ever seen that where somebody gets in an accident, they're running around, they're like, I feel fine, and then 2 hours later they hurt real bad? I hate story time, but I'll tell you a little story. When I first became a paramedic, I picked up a car accident victim. He was 65-year-old male, airbag went off, whatever. I picked him up, and he was adamant, I don't want a backboard, I don't want a C-collar. I said, okay. Put him in the truck. I took him to Memorial, dropped him off. 2 hours later, I come back with another patient Memorial, and the attending physician came over and lit me up. And he said that patient had a partial decapitation. He had broke C3, didn't damage the spinal cord, but it had completely fractured that C3 bone. And had he turned his neck one way or the other, he'd either been paralyzed or died. And I didn't put him in that C-collar because he had said, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. And so when people tell you that, they can walk through broken bones, they can walk through a whole bunch of different things until an hour or two later, and then they're hurting real bad. So make sure, look at your mechanism of injury on a motorcycle accident. How fast were they going? What did they hit? Did they hit anything? Did they, how did the bike flip? Did they flip with the bike? All those things matter. What else we got? Yeah, hold that one. Treating injuries. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's do that one. All right, so we're going to talk about today, if you stay later, we're going to talk about how to make a triangle bandage, but the number one broken bone in the body is a collarbone. Okay, your legs are designed to impact. So I can jump off a roof technically, and I'm not really, my hip's designed to take that. Your shoulders are not. So in a motorcycle accident, what's the first thing you do? Put your hands out. As soon as you hit the ground, that jolting motion will break your collarbone. That's the number one broken bone in the body, is the collarbone. So we'll talk about that. Duct tape is your friend. If you don't know how to make a triangle bandage, put their arm next to them and just duct tape them. They'll take it off in the ER. Don't worry about it. We can cut it. We have scissors. It's okay. So we'll do that. But duct tape is your best friend. If you don't have anything else, you should have duct tape on your bike and just loop it around. Yeah, skip that one. I'll show you how to do limb splitting later. All right, bikers must-haves. First aid kit. In your first aid kit, Amazon specials are fine. I carry an Amazon special on my bike. It's $50. Should have a sand splint. I've got one here. I'll show you how to use it later. Bandaging, scissors, and the blanket. Okay. Duct tape is my favorite thing ever, and then cell phone or satellite phone. Cell phone is hit or miss for me. We were just up at Deals Gap, and there's no cell phone reception on Deals Gap, and there's plenty of accidents up there. They're running off the mountain all day long over there. So I like the Garmin InReach. They're great. You can text on. If you do a lot of long distance riding, you really should be carrying a Garmin. Okay. The other thing that we're huge fans of, I know Rebecca has one, and then Heather and I, are the Helite vests. I had a video of that. If you want to see one being inflated, we inflated Heather, and she loved it. Anybody at the rally, it lights you up, right? It's scary. But the nice thing about the Helite airbag vest is when it inflates, it locks your helmet in place. Okay, so you can't move your neck very much, which is what protects that C-spine in your neck. Okay. Degenerative changes, especially after the age of 50 in your neck, are extreme. Those discs are like little rubber bands in there. And when we do, anybody have an ACDF or a neck fusion? Anybody have one? Nobody in this room? Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, those are fun, right? They go through the front? Yeah, through the front. Fun story, if your incision's on the right, you had a right-handed surgeon. If the incision's on the left, you had a left-handed surgeon. So, this is where they stand. But when we cut those out, you remove that disc and you put a metal disc in there, and that's what keeps that neck stable. It gets it off the nerves. Well, as we age, that little disc in there shrinks. It's like tire tread on your car. It gets lower and lower and lower. Also, your body will form bone spurs on the spine to protect your spine as it ages. And they're called osteophytes. But if you ever had neck pain or single-handed, well, you can imagine a helmet on a motorcycle rider that's chucked off at 45 miles an hour. It hurts, and that'll strain that neck. So Helite vests, if you want to see ours, we're big fans of them. It'll pop open on you and stay open for a minute, and then you can't move your head. So we're a big fan. I know you've got one too, right? You got a Helite vest? Okay. And then what do we got last? Oh, final tips. Okay. So protect yourself, protect your scene, right? Don't make one patient two. Make sure you control traffic. Make sure you do all the things to make sure your patient and you are safe. If you don't feel safe, don't run in there. Okay? If the bike's on fire, if there's electrical cables down, oil slick, all those things, you make sure you don't make one patient two. Be the duck. Have you ever seen a duck glide across the water? But underneath the water, the feet are just kicking, right? Don't be hysterical, all those things. And then get CPR certified. That's a big one. If you have any questions on that, come see me. I'll help you do that, or I'll give you some resources for that. I've got 15 minutes. All right, cool. I know.